my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me.
Welcome back to our show. I Remember Gaming. What can I say? What a week. I mean, right in the feels. I can't even begin to explain. I mean, what a cool time to be alive. We're getting everything back from our childhood. Everything. Whether we want it or not. G.I. Joe, Transformers, new Thundercats cartoon, Ghostbusters, nobody freaking wants. I mean, they got Masters of the Universe coming up. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is going to be in theaters. They had a Goosebumps movie. They had like the X-Men 92 comic book. They brought back Pee Wee Herman. There's rumors they're still going to do that Robotech movie. I mean, it's getting crazy. But the thing that came out this week, which, unless you're living in a hole you've heard of or seen people wandering around or, you know, seen signs of whatnot, this is probably the greatest thing that I didn't even know I wanted to come back. It's been an amazing week. So I'm sure you guys know the thing I want to talk about this week is Pokemon Go, guys. I've never been so like teary-eyed, nostalgic, and excited for a video game, I don't think, in my entire life. I can't even believe my eyes of what I'm seeing going on over there in America. The restaurant, the highways, the bars, the fast food restaurants, the churches. My friends posting tons of photos. Lots of people out in the park bonding and playing this Pokemon game, which I grew up and I treasured this franchise.
Capture more.
New Orleans.
I have both Game Boy games, Game Link cable, the red and blue version. I'm gonna get Pokemon Stadium, Snap, yellow version, golden. I'm a Pokemaniac.
Goodbye.
This is as real world as a video game has ever got, if you think about it. I mean, yeah, we had Warcraft and, you know, all these MMORPGs. This is actual human being going out in the real world, interacting with other living, breathing human beings. I mean, how can you talk crap on that? I mean, I see people online like, oh, I got stuff to do. Like, this is amazing. Now, even over here in China, where currently Nintendo and Niantic are blocking the GPS signals, it's buzzing. The main social network that everyone uses over here is a cell phone app called WeChat or Weixin. I was added to 2 Pokemon Go groups this week, and they've completely ate up all my data. Tomorrow I need to transfer some money over to my phone to put it on my bill because I have no data left. I just can use Wi-Fi. I've never seen a group buzz like these 2 groups have been buzzing all week long. You know, I belong to groups from anywhere from like hip-hop music, jazz music, art, comic book, vaporwaves, video games, job searches, import-export, electronics. These 2 Pokemon Go groups, it's just, you know, people testing the service. They go online. Everyone sends out the message. You see people get on their motorcycles, going out Beijing, Wuhan, Shanghai, and they're all trying to catch Pokemon, and then boom, they kill the server. People are just, they're trying everything they can. I had a Chinese girl that saw me complaining on WeChat that I can't get on Pokemon Go. There is option. You can download a cracked app that'll basically map San Francisco over your Chinese city. But to me, I mean, where's the fun in that? I mean, there's roads going right through buildings. None of the map is matching up with where you're actually walking. That's part of the appeal to me from what I've been seeing online of the game. The response has been so exhilarating. There's even conspiracy theories written in Chinese that have been translated and passed around WeChat say that Pokemon Go basically is a spy app developed by Japanese and the Americans to spy on the planet, whatever nonsense they're talking about. It's just funny, like how many people, even though it's not available here, are talking about this game. I have to be really honest. Pokemon Go is probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in gaming. I haven't even played the game. I know that sounds kind of like a bold statement. Let me tell you guys a few reasons why this means so much to me. This episode, I'm going to talk about the little pocket monsters that took the planet by storm. So let's turn our hats around backwards. Let's make sure we got some clean underwear, Pokeballs, potions, our Pokedex, and some rare candies, because we're going back to 1996.
Don't forget to change your underwear every single day. Okay.
Alright guys, I had to get rid of that wig because it was itching the hell out of me. So I was a 7th grader at Lehigh Junior High. I was known from time to time to put off a persona like I was the coolest kid in school. Maybe I was too cool for school, you could say. But really deep down, I had a lot of insecurity. I was definitely just trying to fit in. I had gotten a paper route where I would deliver massive amounts of newspapers weekday mornings and every weekend after school on my little Dyno VFR BMX bike. Thought that thing was so cool. Now, one of my rituals after I delivered the newspapers was to go to the local Maverick, which was like a convenience store, grab a Surge and some Flamin' Hot Doritos, sit down with a newspaper, open it up, read the comics, and check out the circular ads. You know, kind of look at the video games, what things were coming out in the different stores around the area. My first time seeing Pokemon, I remember it as vivid as if it were yesterday. I was looking through a newspaper, sitting on the side of Maverick, munching some Flamin' Hot Doritos and drinking some Surge, when I pulled out a Kmart circular. Now, I started checking out the Nintendo 64 and the Game Boy section, because these are the only two contemporary consoles that I had at the time. Suddenly, something on the page caught my eye. There were two games side by side with two different color schemes, and they had a weird name, Pokemon. Pokemon? Is that how you say that? I said to myself under my breath as I took a big swig of some Surge and chased it with the Doritos. I couldn't really figure out what the game was, and it looked a little Japanese.
ねえねえ、私のポケットモンスターと勝負しない？
あんただれ？
モンスター全部で150種類。通信ケーブルでモンスター取り替えっこ。スーパーゲームボーイならカラーで綺麗。仲間が増えるロールプレイング。ポケットモンスター。赤を買うか緑を買うかちょっと違うよ。
I thought to myself, maybe they released the game and the sequel immediately after for some reason. I mean, that wasn't something I'd ever seen done before, but I couldn't figure out why they had two of the same name games, just blue version, red version. Did they really just release two different colors? Like, what's going on? I thumbed through the rest of the paper absentmindedly, but I was still kind of thinking about, you know, what were those games and why were they being released simultaneously? I jumped onto my VFR and blasted back home. As you may remember from some of my previous episodes, I was a frequent caller of the Nintendo hotlines. Got into a little bit of trouble calling the pay-for ones.
Don't let Zelda down. Call the Power Phone. Dial 1-900-909-3500.
But it was always okay to call the 1-800 hotline. I actually, to this day, have Nintendo's phone number memorized. It's like 1-800-255-3700 or 3200, I can't. Okay, I had it memorized. I promise, look it up. It's 3700 or, if that's wrong, pretty sure it's 3700. Hello, and thank you for calling Nintendo of America. This is Poindexter. How may I direct your call? What's up, pimp? How you doing? How can I help you today, sir? Well, I was perusing the weekly circulars and I saw a peculiar thing in your Nintendo Game Boy section. Had a question. I saw two games being released next week and it looks like they're sequels or just different colors or something. What's Pokemon? Why are there two of them? Oh, that's a great question, sir, and I'll be happy to answer that for you. These two games are the same game, essentially. However, they have some different things inside. Have you ever played Final Fantasy? Yeah, I love it. I've been playing Final Fantasy 1 on the NES all summer at my mom's school. Well, great. This is a turn-based RPG similar to Final Fantasy. I think you'll like it. The reason it has two versions is there are tiny monsters you can catch and train to fight with you. That's what Pokemon is short for. Pocket monsters. Okay. You go on a journey to capture all these little monsters. However, you are not able to catch them all without finding a friend with the other version of the game. And a Game Link cable, sold separately. I kind of rolled my eyes at this. Nintendo is always promoting the Game Link cable, but you can never find another friend that had the exact same two-player game in a Game Link. Except, like, say, Tetris. And how lame is that to play two players? Now, this actually is a Japanese game. And over in Japan, this is like the #1 game over there right now. My ears perked up. Oh, really? That's cool. I love JRPGs. Yeah, this is a classic style JRPG. If that type of game is your cup of tea, then this game should be right up your alley over yonder, you reckon? Alright, well, I appreciate your help, Nintendo. Now, I wasn't 100% convinced that, this is the game I wanted, but I was getting my paycheck that Friday, about $40 US for over 40 hours of hard labor. Lugging around 150 pounds of newspapers at 4 a.m. on Sunday morning that summer, and later on in the snow that winter, it wasn't really worth that pittance. However, it did build character like Calvin's dad said, so whatever. That Friday after finishing my paper route, I popped open my cow-painted mailbox. Yeah, we had a mailbox that was painted to look like a cow by our previous residents. Now, back at this time, Lehigh was still a really small town American city. We had just gotten our first stoplight. We still didn't have any grocery stores or, Kmart's, Walmart's, anything like that. The closest Kmart was one whole city over in the town of American Fork. So I was in for about an hour trek there back and forth, but it was cool. I mean, anything for a new JRPG that me or none of my friends have ever heard of before. After a quick stop at my bank in town with the cash burning a hole in my pocket, I trekked on to American Fork. Back then, to get to American Fork, you had to trek your bike over this old, dilapidated overpass that went over the busiest road in Utah, Interstate 15. There was no fences on the edge or anything from protecting someone to fall off, down to the busy traffic-laden road below. I remember this like it was yesterday. There was a piece of sidewalk that was kind of jutted up like this. Me thinking I was, kind of like the BMX, Matt Hoffman, Dave Mira guy. I saw it coming up and I started to pedal fast. As I got close, I went to do a bunny hop, but I suck. And my front tire ended up clipping the front of the jut, just like that. The asphalt grabbed the front of my bike and I lurched dangerously close to the edge. As I was flying over there, my bike bounced and almost fell over the edge. I had to end up grabbing it and literally pulling it back up and putting it down, all the while trying not to fall off the edge myself. My heart almost stopped after this. Suffice it to say, I walked my bike very carefully, still reeling for my near-death experience the whole rest of the way to Kmart. When I got in front of the game section, they were all neatly stacked up behind the glass like always. As I peered through, I gazed up and I wondered, which one do I want? Which color should I get? On the blue game, they had kind of a overweight blue Ninja Turtle with some guns sticking out of his back. On the red game, they had a red dinosaur dragon with wings that, looked pretty rad. He kind of looked like he was on fire or something. I ended up choosing red and jetted back to my house. When I got in, I slammed it in my launch era Game Boy, the ones with it wasn't really, people call them black and white, but they weren't, were they? They were more like green on dark green. And back then, dude, I could play that for hours. I still have my original Game Boy. I traded it to somebody and I got nostalgic and I found that person that got it back. But I can't play on them these days at all. I don't know, did the screens get worse or were they always that terrible and we just tolerated it? I don't know. I distinctly remember that first day playing Pokemon, thinking to myself how rad the Pokemon centers were. You didn't even have to pay and they'd heal all your Pokemon. I really thought that was cool. Over the rest of the summer, I played and played and played. We ended up going on a Boy Scout camp out, high up in the mountains for a week on horseback. I was with all my friends from the neighborhood. They were all in the same scout group. The whole camp out, whenever I could get enough light or a flashlight or whatever, I was playing Pokemon. I remember after I gained my horse's trust, I would take the reins and I'd put the Game Boy on the back of his neck and just kind of, kick him on the sides, get him to kind of go the way I want, not go off the cliff on the side. Because we were going up in the mountains, kind of on switchbacks. And the whole time I was sitting there just training the Pokemon, catching Pokemon. Just really enjoying that game. No one at the camp out had ever heard of Pokemon. And I let a lot of them play through it. And a lot of them thought it was cool. A lot of kids kept mentioning that it was awesome you could go to the Pokemon Center and not have to pay for any of the services done there. Thanks a lot, Nurse Joy. Shortly before school started, I beat the Elite Four. I didn't catch them all, but I had enough. I had a lot of Pokemon. When I got to the Elite Four, I think we destroyed it. It was like one-hit deaths for everybody. Boom, Gary beat him, and the game was won.
I finally defeated the last of the Elite Four.
You are now the Pokemon League champion. Well done.
I put it back on my shelf with all my other games and wrote it off as one of my favorite games for the Game Boy. I didn't really think of it much after that for a while. Now, anyone who paid attention back in the late 90s, we know that there was a massive marketing campaign with Pokemon. Now, the marketing phenomenon had not taken place yet, or maybe just not in Utah yet, I'm not sure. But later, I was able to go over to a real good friend's house that I grew up with. I mentioned Mike and Bill that lived across the street, and they gave me my Commodore and my my 386 computer. They had moved out of our neighborhood, but my parents had found out that they had moved a few cities over, and we went to visit them. While I was over there, Mike told me, hey, have you seen this new Japanese animation that's on TV? It's really good. You should check it out. I told him, when does it come on? He looked at the time. Well, it should be on here in about 20 minutes. We went into the living room. I remember when it came on, at first, I didn't connect the dots. I didn't know that this was the same franchise of the game that I had finished earlier. I remember really, really liking the music. And a lot of cartoons did that back then. Thundercat. Transformers. Those theme songs, Inspector Gadget. Inspector Gadget. Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and Friends. We're ready to party. We're ready to party. We're ready. I hope you bring lots of spaghetti. Come on in, come to the place where fun never ends. Come on in, it's time to party with Garfield and Friends. I remember loving it. I thought it was like one of the best cartoon theme songs I had ever seen, I had ever heard. After I watched it for a while, I started seeing Pokemon, and I realized this is the same as the game that I played a little while ago. And I told my friend, dude, this is actually a really cool game on Game Boy. I had no idea they made a show about it, and that's interesting, because why are they making a show about it? It's a cool game, but I had to call Nintendo to figure out what it was. Now, a few more weeks passed, and I started watching the cartoon for myself in my own house on Kids WB.
These are Pokemon. They have many different powers and abilities, and a young boy is out to catch them all. Meet Ash Ketchum, along with his friends Brock and Misty, and his first pet Pokemon, the electrifying Pikachu. Ash will face many battles in his quest to become a Pokemon master. All the while, he must avoid evildoers like Team Rocket. Prepare to join a boy on a quest. Prepare for Pokemon.
It did kind of seem like the episodes were running out of order, so I started recording all of them on the old VHS tapes that my best friend JK's dad had left in our old closet. You may remember that from some past episodes. One day I was going down the street to meet up with my best friend at the time, Sean, to go mac on some girl. He called me on my home phone. Back then we didn't have cell phone, and he told me, jet over. So I ran out, jumped on the Dino VFR, and started blasting across the street. I stopped short. There was a bunch of kids on the sidewalk just sitting there. I was about to yell at them, but before I did, I looked down to see what they were doing. There were about 4 or 5 kids all sitting on the sidewalk, and one of them was my friend Herman. They all had cards laid out on the sidewalk, and looked like they were trading them amongst each other. The artwork looked kind of strange on those first cards, so I didn't instantly recognize it. Come to think, the artwork in the first Red and Blue games looked kind of weird. Of course, they were trading Pokemon cards. After seeing these, I wanted some. A few more months had passed, and the Pokemon phenomenon had taken America by storm. Kids loved it. Parents and teachers didn't know really what to think about it. Preachers were, saying it was from Satan. It was the devil himself.
So Pokemon is a game that teaches children how to enter into the world of witchcraft, how to cast spells, how to use psychic phenomena, how to put to work supernatural powers against their enemies, how to fantasy role play. Pokemon world is a world of the demonic.
These Pokemon creatures are like virtual cyber demons.
Probably a decade ago when Pokemon first came out and was very big, I was called on 3 different occasions to deal with children who had become demon possessed.
But all I remember is how damn happy it made all of us, everyone in the neighborhood. This is the first game that I remember that actually made kids go out and use that Game Link cable. You could actually find somebody with a Game Boy that actually had Pokemon in it. And kids were trading. I saw them at libraries, throughout the neighborhood, at school when we could sneak them in. Pokemon cards and Pokemon card players and traders and collectors, they were everywhere. You could literally walk around your neighborhood. I would do this all the time. And there was just little bastions of kids, little all huddled up looking to trade cards. You'd go down the street, every block. I remember I It's just as clear as day. They were everywhere. They were out. They were looking to trade, and everyone knew what was up. Or, dude, going to the mall back then and not finding people doing Pokemon trades. Forget about it. This is one of the reasons why Pokemon Go kind of has me tear up. When I was a kid, Pokemon brought people together. Well, maybe not people, but kids, you know. Kids, we all bonded over it. Pokemon brought people together like this once before. And I feel like now it's happening again, but on a larger scale. Before it was kids. Now we've got everyone. I always felt like this is a memory that I'd always have and treasure, but it's something I couldn't share with my kids. Other people never experienced this, you know, going out and find other people, trainers or whatever that wanted to talk, play, trade Pokemon. I thought that was over. You know, that was something in my childhood that I could treasure, but other people weren't going to see it. You know, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of bad things going on in the world today, and it's so refreshing to see all these photos coming through. You know, all these people. It doesn't matter their race, their religion, their background, their social economic status. They're bonding over a video game. It's a video game that I bonded with people before when I was small, and back then we didn't care who you were, what you looked like, or where you were from. You just wanted to know, yo, you want to trade? You want to battle? You like Pokemon? I do too. Let's be friends. I mean, it sounds completely absurd and silly if you listen to it, but when you see the photos that come through, there's goodness there. I've cherished this game since the first time I looked through that Kmart circular.
Who's that Pokemon?